How's it going, guys? Topic for today's video, 57-day NoFap experiment update. So I've done a 40-day NoFap experiment before, and I just recently completed a 57-day NoFap experiment. So I started this at the new year, and it was just basically a good time to start to do something different, because I remember how good I felt last time I was on the NoFap for a long time. So I was like, I wasn't feeling all that good. I was starting my self-love practice, and it's like, well, you know, we might as well just clean up my life as much as possible and jump back onto the NoFap. So the term Fap comes from the sound when you're jerking off. So it's like, that's where the word Fap comes from, and then the term NoFap means like that you're not doing it. So the term NoFap to me means basically no pornography, no masturbation, and therefore no orgasm. So a lot of guys have a very, very serious addiction to the PMO kind of like process, porn, masturbation, orgasm, to the point where it really definitely affects their social confidence, affects their motivation in life. It can actually affect their sexual orientation. It can affect a lot in a lot of guys' life. Especially, it can even happen to women as well. So it's not necessarily just male-oriented, but it's primarily male-oriented. So a lot of guys do get really addicted to this. People don't see it as like an addiction, like that it's not like really like a bad thing to be doing. But the fact of the matter is, when you're having an orgasm, it is a huge release of dopamine into your system. And if you're doing it like 2-3 times a day, even up to, like, I've heard some guys tell me that they do it like 10 times a day, that is a huge, huge addiction. That is a huge addiction to a dopamine release, which is basically what happens when you do drugs. And guys become really, really addicted to it. So I would say this: if you cannot go 30 days without masturbating, then I would say that you do have an addiction to it, and that you should try NoFap for a while. And the reason why you should try it is because, like I said earlier, there are a lot of issues that can kind of stem from having that consistent overall dopamine release into your body. And it does really affect a lot of people's lives. So personally, just over this last 57 days, what I noticed, so at that time, at the start, I was starting my self-love practice. I was kind of like transitioning back into kind of getting my life going after a bad breakup. And so I basically noticed that I had a lot of motivation and a lot of like strive to really actually start to do a lot more things with my life. Like very immediately, you just kind of like, you get this motivation, and I had this consistency with doing a lot of habits that I've always had troubles doing. So for example, I was focusing on doing my self-love practice every single morning. A lot of mornings I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I actually had the discipline to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, spend an hour focused on my self-love practice, which was like meditation, visualization, affirmations, reading, and doing that in the morning every single morning. And I've been doing it for the past 60 days. So focus on this self-love practice for the past 60 days, which I've never, like in the past, like I would start things like, oh yeah, like I want to start meditating, right? And you do it for the first like 3 or 4 days, and then afterwards I just kind of like forget about it. But with this, and I think it was mainly because of NoFap. I was just so like just rock solid, like with doing this practice every single morning and just focusing on just loving myself as much as possible. That's one thing I definitely noticed with NoFap. Why? Because after I fapped, what I noticed was that my motivation to do that really dropped off. Something else that I've noticed since I've fapped is that my moods have been kind of like more up and down. Before, I would call myself like, I'd tell myself to my girlfriend, I'd be like, I'm like a superstar monk right now. Because my moods were just like rock solid. Because I didn't have this consistent like I didn't have these like ups and downs with my hormones, which is basically caused from continually fapping all the time. So basically after you fap for the next 2 weeks, it's called like the hangover period, where your hormone levels are generally like below baseline. So you're not usually typically feeling as good, and you're looking for a way to actually improve your feeling. So that's typically where the addiction comes in. So you're feeling kind of shitty after you've had an orgasm, and then you're looking for a way to kind of like spike that dopamine level up again so that you're not feeling like shit anymore. Now, I guess technically speaking, I didn't last 57 days because on day 54, I had something that has not happened to me for like the longest time, is that I had a wet dream. So I was just having a dream, and I orgasmed in my dream, and I woke up immediately, and I like reached down under my sweatpants, and I was just like, holy fuck. Like, I just had a fucking wet dream. I was just like, there was a sticky mess in my pants. And I'm not actually sure why that happened, but after that, I just got so horny, right? Like after day 54, I was just like, after I had my wet dream, I was just like so freaking like horny, right? And I was like talking to my girlfriend, and she's like, you know, like showing me her cleavage and stuff. And I'm just like fucking like fuck, like I just want to like fap so bad right now. And what I find really interesting with NoFap is that if I go like say like a long period of doing NoFap, is that it's not like I don't have a sex drive. Is that my sex drive is just so much more controlled. So I can really, I'm really in control of it. So like, you know, my girlfriend could send me like, you know, naked pictures or whatever. She could send me all that kind of stuff, and I'd be like, yeah, like that's great. And like, you know, it wouldn't I wouldn't lose control of my own sex drive and then have to go fap. But after I fapped, it's just like, whoa, like I'm just, I just get horny so much more easier. And I just don't feel like I'm just not as in control of things as I was like if I've gone like, you know, 40 or 50 days without fapping. It's very, very interesting experiment. Something else that I noticed on NoFap. So at the start, I wasn't in a relationship, and then throughout, you know, I started to develop a lot of strong feelings for a very beautiful girl who's now my girlfriend, who I'm going to see in like in about a week's time. So that actually kind of happened to me last time that I was on the NoFap, and happened to me again. So NoFap is really, really interesting. A lot of guys notice that they get a lot more kind of like attention from girls. They get more attention from girls, and that just might mean because there's just something kind of different about a guy who's on NoFap. Like he has more confidence. He has more motivation in life. And, you know, I'm not saying that's the reason why, like, I started dating a girl is because I was on NoFap. I'm just drawing that happened while I was on it. I think it was like 9 or 10 days into it is like when I kind of first started getting, when I first kind of got like really interested in her and was talking to her. And yeah, it's absolutely wonderful now. Something else that I should mention, I had a conversation that I posted on here with Seth Alexander, who runs a channel on YouTube called Black White Guy in America. And we've actually teamed up, and we're actually doing a collaboration channel called Man Talk TV, where we're going to talk all things kind of like man-related with a primary focus around NoFap. So I'm still going to do NoFap videos here on Unconventional Living, but if you want more kind of like man-related stuff and probably more stuff talking about NoFap, I'll leave a link in the description box below to check out Man Talk TV, because just the reaction that we've gotten so far from that channel, it looks like it's going to be an absolutely rocking channel talking about some really interesting topics and something that I think will really add a lot of value to a lot of guys' lives. NoFap in general. So yeah, 57-day NoFap experiment. Basically what the next level kind of shit is, so yeah, I'm going to be seeing my girlfriend in 7 days, and I'm going to attempt to go that whole time while we're, you know, having sex and stuff without actually orgasming, which is going to be very interesting. But I think it's going to be definitely a really, really good learning experience either way, if I do or if I don't. But yeah, NoFap, definitely try it out. A lot of guys just kind of like scoff it off, being like, oh, that's bullshit. It's spiritual woo bullshit. Basically, what it really comes down to, our bodies are not designed to be masturbating and jerking off like 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. I would even hazard to say, like, you wouldn't even want to do it, like, I don't even want to do it like once or twice a week. I don't even really want to do it at all. I think just maybe over time, maybe the reason why I had a wet dream is because the body's just like, all right, you've gone 54 days, all right, we're just going to like let it go, right? So it manifested that in a dream, right, when I wasn't consciously in control of it. So try it out. A lot of guys, they leave comments on my videos after they've tried it, for maybe 20 or 30 days or something like that. And they're like, yeah, you know what? I feel a lot better. You really have nothing to lose to try NoFap. Nothing to lose. But if you can't not do it for, say, like 30 days or something, then I would say that you are addicted to it. And you might be like, well, it's like a good addiction. It's healthy. It like prevents prostate cancer. There's a lot more. I don't think a lack of jerking off is going to cause prostate cancer. If you're worried about prostate cancer, look at like the dietary reason. Look at negative thoughts going in your head. Those are going to have a much more powerful effect on your body than not jerking off. Awesome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions or comments about NoFap, definitely leave them in the box below. And if you want to learn more about NoFap, on the homepage of this YouTube channel, I've got a whole playlist with all my videos on NoFap, and definitely check them out. Awesome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Peace out.